Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here, Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Good
Happy
morning,
Friday,
everybody. Oh my goodness, it is Friday.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah,
Friday.
I checked.
Yeah.
Thursday went away fast.
It did. It's been a good week, at least on my front and our front, I think.
Yeah, it's been a productive and interesting week. A lot of stuff happening. You know,
Yep.
you put a lot of parts in motion and suddenly they're starting to all come together.
And that's just such a lovely thing when you start to witness that. Quick things that are coming up and happening on what day?
Okay,
Monday,
so I got
he threw his announcements down on the ground because I told him that today I was running the show and he was, just
I
going to be.
thought it was a good chance to get a nap. I thought this was going to work out for me. So no, I got a couple of things. I got the next thing we have scheduled already is March 6th with Allison Harrison, which by the way, I owe our friend Hugo Sanchez for that introduction to Allison.
Oh yes.
And so Allison is an attorney in Ohio, legal people for the Ohio Association up there. And so she's going to come and talk to us about truth in advertising, kind of this whole
it's a big
triggering
topic
terms.
Right now. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to
really
have her
big
come and
topic.
talk to us about triggering terms. That's on March 6th, the Wednesday episode. And then you've got your webinar, which I apparently had the date wrong.
Yeah. And I think I might have given you like the wrong, whatever. It's the 21st, which is a Thursday in March. And I have two of our guests lined up. I'll be sending out some materials about that. And I've got two other people that I'm going to be talking to. Actually, no, I have three guests that are so I'm going to have one or two more that will be joining us. And this is going to be a really rich conversation. Good morning, George. A really rich conversation about keeping your talent motivated and sticky. It's like, how do we keep our people from wanting to leave or finding, grass greener on the other side? It's like, what are the things that, and there's a lot of research that I've done on the topic about, just people in different generations and things and what are their motivators. And we're just going to talk about that. And I already yesterday had an opportunity to talk to one on the phone and then two via email, actually two on the phone and one via email about this topic. And it was just really cool to kind of just, you get their juices rolling. And it's like, this is going to be a good conversation. So that's on March 21st. Right now, the tickets are $19.99, and that's going to be for the first 20 people that buy tickets. And after that, they'll go up to the normal price of $49. So, get in and get your ticket quickly. And I do know that we still have some tickets left at the $19.99. So please, get in there and do that.
Yeah. One more quick announcement. I need one more dealer for group 4 to get that in motion for this month. And so if somebody, that group is for dealers from 100 to 500 accounts. So if you got anybody listening who wants to be part of a V8 group and get a chance to get in there and compare and connect, as we say, then that's your opportunity. Reach out. Just get us a message over here. So
what else?
BHPH United, April 23rd through 25th. I think you told me that NEO's User Summit is on the front end of that.
Yes, we will be at the NEO Summit.
Right.
So we're heading in there, and we kind of like we've been users. Not personally. We've been training a lot of our clients on NEO. Really a great product, and we were unfortunate, but we weren't able to go last year, so we're going to be there this year, and it's kind of cool because our CEO and someone else that we're doing some work with actually live in Vegas, so it's going to be a fun trip. And on the 26th, so that Friday is our 300th episode.
Wow.
So we'll have a little bit of a celebration then too as well. And so should we move on?
Let's bring in some expertise, shall we? Yeah.
Amanda Sanchez.
Hi, Amanda.
Welcome.
Glad to have you here.
I was really glad to have you here. Amanda is someone that we've done some work with, and someone that I just personally enjoy on a personal level. And
Likewise.
thank you. And sometimes Amanda and I will like get on these texting things, and we're talking about stuff, the things that women have to deal with, or the growth and the stuff, and there's not a lot of commiserating, but there's a lot of like, all right, we can do this. This is it's cool. We've got this. And so I had a conversation with Amanda recently, and something came up that I was like, oh my goodness, it's like there's a really beautiful opportunity for us to share what it is that's been happening in Amanda's world with people on the podcast, because it's such great stuff. And so if you don't mind, I was like, back in 2022, we looked up the when we did the episode right after, because we started May of 2022. And in June of 2022, we did an episode called, it was about the hamster wheel, about helping dealers get off the hamster wheel. So Amanda, you watched that and you reached out to me just very shortly after that. And so what were your thoughts about what the idea of the hamster wheel was, and what, like, oh my gosh, how did it hit you?
Well, it's like the rat race, right? You're just going and going and going and going and going. And there's something that, in particular, that you guys have said about building yourself a business instead of a job. That really, as a small business owner myself, that really, made a lot of sense to me, and really impacted me, because at the time I felt very much on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And of course, I've seen the dealers, do the same thing, and then kind of, just running and running and running and growing and growing and growing, and really unable to jump off of that hamster wheel.
And why do you suppose the dealers, yourself, and all that felt like you can't?
Oof. I think anybody who goes into business for themselves, we do it best. Right. Nobody's going to do it like we do it. There's you built this thing. It's your baby.
My mom, it's like, she's like always, I'll just do it.
Yeah. If you want something done right, do it yourself. Right. And then a lot of times I think that it's, especially if you experience growth the way that we did, is that, you blink and you get there before you know it. And, you don't want to turn down opportunities. That's something that we've talked about in the past, that it's like, man, there's, all these opportunities, and, I just don't know which way to go and focus. And, and it's hard to put your baby, something you're building, in somebody else's hands. So I think that's a large part of it. And maybe just not, it takes time to put the resources in place and build that strong foundation that allow you to grow in a healthy way. And someone with a growing business doesn't have a ton of time. So
desire though, right?
Right, for sure.
Yeah. The idea of not having to be living, accounting, CPA, all that stuff, 7 days a week for a few hours, all of that. I remember us talking that it's like, I really want to do this. And so did you come up with a plan about how you were going to implement this, or just did it stay in this desire state?
No. We came up with a plan and implemented it. And again, it took time. It probably took 18 months. A lot of people know that during that time, I said, you know what, like, pause. We're not taking on new clients. We'll take the financial hit. A lot of people are afraid to kind of, pump the brakes whenever they are pedal to the metal with growth. And I said, listen, like, I advise my clients all the time, build that foundation, slow your roll, get your policies and procedures in place before you pull the trigger. And I took my own advice.
Yeah.
And, I put it on pause, and I started to put those policies and procedures in place. And very specifically, the thing that I think has helped a lot is breaking down all of the processes into very mechanical, step by step, and recording training videos on those steps that allow, not only does it mean that your staff is trained consistently based on those videos, but I also was like, I'm tired of training people.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I never want to do this again. And so I thought, you know what? Let me take the time and record it when I do it. That way, the next person that comes in, here you go, watch this.
Right.
They get consistent training. It saves me tons of time on the back end. And then also that person has that recording to reference when they run into an issue. Yeah. And so I knew that there was a lot of benefit in that. And getting those recordings down and the process is down, and it took a lot of time to get it all recorded and have it there. But now we've got this great library of our training, and it's as easy as, but it's just anytime I bring on a new staff, it's like, here you go. This will keep you busy for a week. And then they know how we work. They know what we do. They, have all the tools they need to work independently without having to ask me a question every 30 minutes. And yeah, it's been great. It's been great. That's been one of the biggest changes we've made, and something that's really paid a lot of dividends to us already.
Yeah. And that was, I when you say it's like, I don't want to teach this again. And I remember before I joined Jim in the business that, I would be heading off to work, and I would come home from work, and he was talking to a new client, and it was the same thing that I heard like 3 days before with a different client or whatever. And I was like, honey, we got to get this recorded.
Yeah. She said, like, I'm sick of hearing it over and over. Yeah.
So that's where the Buyer Payer Institute was created from. And like all of those. And so currently, we spend a lot of time recording, and all of those things are in the Institute of a dealer that's just getting into the business. These are the things, just the things it's a good idea for you to keep in mind, and all of that. So, yes. And that was one of the things that I remember us talking about with the hamster wheel. It's like the stuff.
I recorded everything I know over there, and it took about 2.5 minutes. So it's just like
and I'm sure you guys go back and look at the views, but you look at it in one way, you're like, oh, we're getting all these views, but also look at it and think, man, how much time did I save?
The game. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We have new dealers that before they even engage us have already watched it. And so it's like, oh, we don't have to like even send them there. It's just like, they already are, they're already aware of all the things. So, was it harder to like build this thing than you thought it was? Was it easy? I mean, what I know you said you took months and months off, but was it like super daunting and just like elephant or I think I know your brain well enough to know it's like, I will come up with a plan and then boom, 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 boom. Right. Not everybody.
Yeah. And I did knock it out. The big thing, especially if you're, and I don't really see dealers having this problem because they have like the opposite. Most of them have the opposite personality type of me. Someone like me, but being very perfectionist about the videos and being, and I had to allow myself to let that go. And once I got over that, it's not a training problem, it's a person problem. Once I got over that hurdle, it was so much easier to knock out. And then, the way I did it is like, hey, listen, these training things come up. And so, organically, as I had to train somebody on something, boop, record.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's, I don't feel like, oh, I'm having to set this time aside to do this and that and the other. I'm not having to, make additional time in my schedule to do that. Like the training's happening anyways.
Yeah.
And then we've expanded that even to the outward facing, not just our internal, but, client ask a question that, people ask, let's record it, have it in the library. Next time a client asked that question, here you go. Here's the answer.
Yep.
I got to share quickly for our listeners.
Yes.
I just heard Tony Robbins recommend to his people
and
to
we've
utilize
been using
this app. So
since
those who aren't
we
familiar,
started.
find
Yeah.
otter.ai. It's a cool mobile app is the way we use it on our phones primarily. And, just like you say, just flip it on, record the stuff. You can decide later how and where you're going to use it, but you just got to document it. And Otter does nice transcription. It
records and transcribes.
Right. So it's sick. So it's something we definitely
It'll
recommend.
even do like a word map for you. So like the things so that you can go back and research based on, I want to look about collections. And so it'll bring up all the recordings that talk a lot about collections. And so you can, get in there and do some of that. That's super
And
cool.
you use the word organic. You're just doing it as you go through your motions, right?
Yeah.
As you go through your regular routine.
So, you built this thing, and then one of the reasons why it was like, Amanda, will you come and be on the morning show? Because I want to kind of talk about what happened in your world. I mean, you've been building this thing, but you hadn't really stepped into it fully about what it is, the power of what it is that you built. And so what happened in your world in it's like personal way that was just like, I need to fix this, or I need to step into this differently.
Yes. So, first and foremost, when I started my business, I knew that I didn't want to run like other public accounting firms who are working 80 hours a week. There's a huge shortage of CPAs because nobody wants to take that. Nobody wants to work like that. And some people find the type of work boring. I don't know what's wrong with them. It's still great work, but there's a huge shortage of it. And, you talk about trying to retain employees. I mean, if you're working somebody 80 hours a week, and that is just the nature of public accounting. So when I started my business, I knew from the very beginning, I don't want to work like that anymore. And if I'm not willing to do it, I cannot expect my staff to do it either. And so we are going to build our firm to where we're working a 40-hour week. We've got, I don't know either, Hugo. I think it's just the best.
It's not explainable. There's nothing.
Nothing to explain that away.
I would imagine that your team really appreciate that it's like, oh, we get a life.
Yeah. And I hope so. And the things that we've put in place is to allow everybody to kind of work independently, and we don't necessarily have to be working at the same time. And, that was really important for me going in, and that's before I had a baby. Right. So I knew going in, all right, I don't want to work my life away. Now, did I? Yes, of course, it's my business. So I was still working nonstop. My staff didn't have to. So that was, that was good. But Hugo and I were both still working nonstop. And then, you guys know, we had a son so I like to tell people, I grew my family and my business by a third in that same year.
Nice. Good.
And, as I think anybody in that position would, I nearly lost my shit. And it was almost out of necessity that I was like, you know what? Something's got to give. Like we've got to do things more efficiently. We've got to streamline things. And I think the part that made it really difficult for us is we did absolutely. I refused to not be home with my son in the hours that I didn't stay late at work. Neither did Hugo. We left at 5 and went to be home with our son. And we just drew a hard rule. We're not working weekends. We're drawing the line in the sand. And then that made the work life very stressful. But we were not willing to sacrifice
rest or something.
We were not willing to sacrifice the time with our son. And so we knew, okay, we're not willing to give this, therefore we've got to make this smoother, more efficient. We got to press pause for a little bit on the growth and kind of build these systems to not only save us time, but also allow us to scale once we've got a good foundation there. And so,
I think one of the things that I remember you saying back to us sort of in one of these conversations in the past was that you recognize that the one thing you can't scale is your time, right? You just, so any dealers that are listening, business owners,
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to grasp sometimes that whole element and recognize that unless you're prepared to be, and the context I often bring, Amanda, is that when you think about adding a second location or third location, whatever, it's like dealers have to come to grips with the fact they can't be in 3 places at one time. So how are you gonna, you know, scale that knowledge, right? And all the stuff. So.
And what I love about, this, Amanda, this is not about cars.
No.
This is not about accounting.
No.
This is about
business,
being a business owner and growth. And so it's like the things that, you know, you have mentioned that you went through and the things that you built are applicable to any kind of business, any kind of business. And so, you know, I kind of want to fast forward. You've done all of this work. And then I had a conversation with you and you're like, hey, baby Hugo got sick, you got sick. And so to kind of tell us about like what happened and you were like, holy crap, this is awesome.
So yeah, we got sick as it's, you know, he started going to daycare in August and I've got the immune system of an infant apparently, or maybe it's because I'm the one he snuggles to when he's sick, but he gets sick, I get sick. I mean, and it took me out of the office for an extended, you know, period of time. And, you know, I realized, I said, you know, the show has to go on. The work's got to be done. And it kind of forced me to delegate a little bit more and things like that. And then the wheels didn't fall off, you know.
What do you suppose that was, Amanda?
You know, and so I wasn't quite ready to step back, and you know, let the staff, you know, have their hands on more. But it was kind of out of necessity that happened, and it worked out well. And I thought like, oh my gosh, thank God I put all these procedures and stuff in place and everybody knows what to do. And, you know, I became really obsessed with the streamlining everything we do. And, because I see the power in it. Again, it's not only to like, hey, this frees up my time. It frees up their time. We can all be more successful together. It makes it that much easier for us to add a staff and keep growing. It elevates the whole company. I mean, there was a sacrifice in short term for the business where we, you know, didn't have a lot of growth because I wouldn't take any new clients, but yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, paid dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, one of the things when we were chatting about this, it's like, I get to journal where I hadn't done that for years. And you know, that there,
journal sitting right here.
Exactly. And so things that it's like, I just don't time, things that are important to you, things that keep you centered, things that keep you from going out of your mind with stress that we just like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And so stepping back into the things that make Amanda healthier and happier. And so our overall, you know, what's Amanda's day or week like now?
Yeah. So I mean, it's really nice. Instead of being in the weeds with, you know, everything all the time, we've really streamlined our communications internally and externally. So this is even with our clients is we're using a portal. And so that allows my staff to handle a lot of the, you know, the back and forth that it's, hey, we need bank statements. Like I realize, you know, I shouldn't be the one asking for that. I shouldn't be the one in the weeds here. Not only that, but, you know, our workflow software allows us to automate that process. So we kind of set it up we need the same things each month, each quarter. And so set it up, have it automated. And so I don't spend any time on that type of stuff. So typically where I come in is going to be at that highest level. So it's like everything's been prepared. We've talked to the client. We've gotten everything we need. Here are the financial statements. They're in order. You know, Amanda, take a look at them. You know, that's where the kind of the higher level analysis comes in. You know, the tax planning goes over to Hugo, and that's kind of where we get involved now. Instead of actually preparing everything ourselves, we're involved at the very highest level. So my typical duties now are more so looking at that and kind of talking to, I want the staff to learn, right? So I want them to learn and grow to think analytically like that. So kind of talking to them about that. It's that analysis part is so fast. It didn't take hardly any time, but the rest of my time is spent, on business development, and all the things that you should be spending your time on as a business owner, right?
Yeah. I remember, and because you're talking about analyzing the stuff, and it's like all of a sudden I remember that after we did this episode on the hamster wheel, we did this exercise every week about, all right, you want to be able to get these things off your plate. Let's do this exercise this week. I want you to write down all the stuff. And then what are the things that it's like, this is busy work. This is me working in my business. I don't want to be working in my business. I want to be working on my business. And so I think that we went through it. I think it was about a month or so where it was like, this week, do this. So if y'all are
I remember that. I remember that.
And I remember some of the conversation we had about that too. It's like, oh my gosh. So would you go back?
No.
Is there any part of you that feels like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Every part of me thinks, man, why didn't I do this from the beginning? And thank God. All I can say is, when I first started, I was so burnt out at that point. Like I was so burnt out. And I knew like, I want to build something different. And thank God I stuck to those principles early on because it was easier to transition. At that point, I'm like, listen, I'm not taking any client that I have to babysit. And I'll tell them, I'm not your mommy. If I ask you for something, I expect you to send it to me and I'm not going to chase you. I have very high expectations for my clients and I will only work with people who meet those expectations. Sure. All of that is what made, me being able to kind of transition easily into something more streamlined. It would be a much more difficult process if I didn't have those first kind of basics, basic principles that I set from the start. But even somebody who didn't have those basic principles, it's now nobody has to chase them for information. So, because it's all automated now, we've leaned into technology to automate that process. And
right. The other thing I see is that, we just had a conversation, or I had a conversation with the dealer yesterday that allowed us to kind of go into that vision of your business, like step off the hamster wheel for a minute. Let's just focus. And I offered them some exercises on how to make some time to kind of do that. But I think what I'm hearing from you is that forced sort of shift in your situation allowed you to make some changes that I'm hearing improvement in your personal life and your personal well-being, right? I mean, your own kind of mental health and having a journal in some place to write all the ways that Hugo frustrates and irritates you, right? For your marriage, right? So
I keep a separate journal for that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, good.
It's hidden.
So, no.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, being able to step away, obviously, is the same thing. I'm trying to relate it to what I see with our dealers. Is they struggle to let go of some of those pieces, and the fear is always, well, they're not going to do it the way I would do it, and guess what? They're not going to do it exactly the way you would do it unless you get better to train and help them understand.
And it's when you bring people in, you hire talent. You hire people that are talented and you hire people with a skill set. And sometimes people that we bring in might bring fresh ideas, fresh perspectives. And so part of this whole process working so beautifully is that, even though you think I'm the only one that can do it, it's like if you open up the space to allow other people to express and try out something, you may find out that your way is not the best way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have one of my employees was like, because I basically told them, I said, guys, I'm done training people. I've trained you guys. I've got these videos. When y'all are ready to grow and take on more business, just know you're training in the next batch of interns. And I've got one employee who's like, these particular videos you did aren't that great. So I've redone them, and I'm like, all right. And he's the problem with me doing a lot of the training is that, like, once you're looking at things at the high level, you're looking at the big picture. I'm not necessarily going to look at details. And so I've, I'm not the best to train on certain things. And so he's like, yeah, your training sucked. I'm going to go back and redo it and replace those training videos. Great. And then a lot of time, those are the people who are doing these processes and procedures. So if there's going to be any change to the processes and procedures, it's going to come from them. Yeah. And so, absolutely, you have to be open-minded that your way is not the best way, and even lean on, your employees to make suggestions. And, it's kind of like the, I have a client who's, he does the 20 groups and they do the best ideas. And he implemented that in his office internally, to ask his employees, hey, what are best ideas? And we do the same thing after every busy season. Hey, what's, what worked, what didn't.
Postmortem. I love it.
Make improvements. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And, it's kind of a little bit, I'm hearing two things in my head. Voices, is one that the event that we're doing in March on teams and culture and keeping that it's this, what you just said is actually one of the things that I've done research on, that it's like, that can be really, really huge, just having that exercise to people and them feeling like they want to stick and they want to
empowering your people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I'm hearing is that I think that there's an opportunity for us to do either like a recorded series or do a webinar series or an evening class series on these steps of how do you break down the stuff. What are the things that you do? Here is your homework, because you are not the only one that we got feedback from that's like, this is really, it's powerful.
Really valuable.
And we don't do it very often. And I know you also sent us a book called The Pumpkin Principle, which is a pumpkin plan, which kind of ties into a lot of this as well, about getting ready to do things differently. And so we suggest that as one of the suggested readings from Amanda, and that she actually sent
Amanda's
us.
journal would be fun.
And Amanda's journal, that
yeah, it's a boring read. It's all about my son, and this is what we did today. Here's what we did today.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So we just put up your email address, and I know you probably aren't the one that's taking a lot of these things. So, you might get forwarded if you send Amanda an email asking questions, might get forwarded to a team member, but this is how you reach the team, through Amanda. And let
me just tell our listeners who really wants to reach out to Butler Sanchez. That's the folks who really are having a hard time getting a grip on their business. They are having a hard time catching up.
No, Amanda Sanchez is not, but you're talking about people.
The team, the firm. I'm saying the firm is in good position to help with folks who are buy here, pay here business. If you can't find a CPA who really understands your business, then you want to jot down that email address on the screen and reach out to them and hope they're taking new clients. If they're not, you wait patiently until you can get in there.
And remember what her criterion are.
Yeah. Not your mommy. That's the big one. I'm like, hey, I'm someone else's mommy. I'm going to chase after him, but I'm not going to chase after you.
I have no joy in being your mommy.
Yeah.
So I choose not to. I love it. And so, where you're at right now, Amanda, what do you see? Are you about ready to step into some more growth and things like that?
Oh, yeah. We are ready. We're ready to take more on now. And it's we got to that place and I was like, I'm kind of enjoying, like, maybe we coast like this, but at some point, and so we're at a point now where we're ready to take more on. The staff are ready to go and ready to train up the next people we hire. And
nice.
So I think definitely more, more growth and more building. what we're building.
One of the things I heard from you is, sometimes people grow for the sake of growth, and it's an ego thing, I think. And
oh yeah, especially for dealers,
yes. And it's like, when we talk to dealers, like I grew and I have all these things, and then a lot of the very successful ones have scaled back down because it's like, oh, I can do this very differently. So, understand why you want to grow, and no, this is a conversation that we have frequently. It's like, okay, where are we at right now? And if we grow from this point, why are we growing? What's the purpose of us growing? And like our why is because we're really our interest is in helping dealers and customers communicate more effectively and be able to be successful, both of them. And so that's like, how do we continue to build? So it's like when you're thinking about growth, think about why.
Yeah.
And then start doing some, we talked about delegation, but it's like, you can't delegate really effectively until you've built a foundation of the things
we
that
see
you
it
can
with
say you do
dealers,
this.
Amanda. One of the things, I talked to a dealer yesterday, just business is growing. There's they're stressed, so we don't want to see dealers get stressed out, burned out, and I think the dangerous thing for us in this context is you get so stressed out and so busy in your business that you kind of can lose sight of the, you don't give enough time to the bigger picture, the focus, and the main mission, right? And so it's just challenging. It's, and dealers fight it. Lots of business owners fight with this. But I think one of the things you said earlier is that control element is something that you just have to personally come to grips with that and step through it. And as you said, the wheels probably won't fall off. You just got to learn and then find ways to verify. Like you say, you're stepping back. So you just got to find ways to verify that customers are being handled the way that you want them handled and all those kind of things. So that could be done.
Love it. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Great to see you guys too.
Come visit us in Utah, will you?
I know.
Man, it's beautiful out there. I would love to.
Yeah. And you're not going to be in Vegas, right? Hugo's just going on his own.
Unknown. I'm not sure yet.
Well, if you are, let us know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's all booked and ready to go. I kind of make these, I don't want to leave my baby.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes the FOMO wins, right? So it's a constant battle, and we just never know until we get closer to.
Yep. I totally get it. Well, I so appreciate you. I just want to publicly say how much I have enjoyed our friendship, and
likewise.
We can talk and we don't do a lot of commiserating, but it starts with, I'm just not sure what to do.
Pulling my hair out.
Hugo and I do a lot of commiserating. I didn't realize you guys.
But
kidding. It's a joke.
Kidding. All right. If you'll stick around for just a second so we can say a proper goodbye while we go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much. Okay. Great conversation. And I think that's doing a series maybe of like evening webinars for a month, once a week or something. Thank you, George Spat. Yep. Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Simon Sinek is one of our personal influencers that we listen, and we've shown a lot of his work on the podcast. Yep. And so, Simon Sinek is a big one. Gary V is another really big one of just about bringing the heart into business. And then we were talking this morning about Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I have read multiple times. And so that's been another thing that has been really a helpful thing in learning how to systematize, delegate, all that kind of stuff. So super, super grateful. What a great conversation. I'm glad that we did it.
The kind of thing people are dealing with out there today.
Yes. Have a great weekend, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate your support. And again, if you haven't got your ticket yet for the March event on keeping a team sticky, keeping them engaged, all of that, the first 20 tickets are $19.99. After that, they jump up to $49.99. So get in and get your tickets soon. All right, we will talk to y'all later. Have a great day.
Great one.